mentioned that you lived in a couple different countries. There's also the cultural component, which is really interesting to me because I mean, I'm first generation Canadian. Like my parents are from overseas too. Grew up around a lot of people from a lot of different cultures, so I was very open to that, and I still have friends from a lot of different places around the world. But what it did was it made me very sensitive to the importance of cultural context around everything that we do. I mean, literally everything is affected by our culture and our understanding of. Uh, y- well, I mean, it puts everything into a different lens. So, in a healthcare setting, we typically think that healthcare delivery is going to be highly impacted by the way that we, deliver that healthcare in a culturally sensitive way. Um, in theory, super important, and it's been studied very well. In practice, very difficult to do. I'm just wondering if I can get your perspective on that. I mean, is there a place for modern digital therapies, if you will, to enhance that cultural aspect, that cultural sensitivity?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And Curatio is used in about 104 countries now in 20 languages. And so, not only have we learned a lot about, localizing and being culturally appropriate in each of those areas, but there's also a culture for each condition. So how, a group of patients living with multiple sclerosis define themselves and their culture is very different than a group of patients with sickle cell disease, as an example. Even the terms that they use to describe themselves or their tribes, what that lived experience is like. And so, there's this really interesting aspect of culture as related to different conditions that we sometimes don't really take into account. And so we've been, thoughtful at Curatio in making sure to always be patient centric and always go back to that patient group and that patient culture, and be sure that we're using the cultural attributes, the naming conventions that are important to them, that they feel define them.